The experiment begins. The Vraxian observation chamber hummed with an electric tension as Chief Scientist Zextal adjusted his monitoring instruments. Behind the transparent quantum barrier, their newest specimen, a human female, lay unconscious on the sterile floor of the containment cell. But it wasn't the human that had the facility staff maintaining a careful distance. It was her cellmates, two colossal crystalline dragons, their faceted bodies refracting the harsh laboratory lights in hypnotic patterns. "Begin revival sequence," Zextal commanded, his secondary arms inputting commands while his primary ones remained crossed in what passed for smugness among his species. "Let's see how our primitive friend reacts to her new accommodations." Dr. Sarah Chen's first sensation upon waking was the cool touch of metal against her cheek. Her second was the distinct feeling of being watched. As her vision cleared, she found herself staring into a crystalline face larger than her entire body, its transparent depths swirling with colors that shouldn't exist in nature. Sarah didn't scream. 7 years of xenobiological field research had taught her that showing fear often proved fatal when dealing with unknown species. Instead, she slowly sat up, maintaining eye contact with the enormous creature. Its partner, equally massive, observed from the other side of the cell. "Fascinating," Zextal's voice echoed through hidden speakers. No flight response. Perhaps humans are even more mentally deficient than our initial studies suggested. Sarah ignored the taunt, her trained eye already analyzing the dragons. Their bodies appeared to be living crystal, with geometric patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid despite their solid nature. Internal structures pulsed with bioluminescence in regular intervals, almost like a heartbeat, she whispered. These weren't simply crystalline beasts. They were silicon-based life forms of staggering complexity. The dragon before her tilted its head, and for a moment, Sarah felt a strange resonance, like the hint of a song just beyond hearing. She pressed her hand against her temple, wondering if it was a side effect of whatever the Vraxians had used to sedate her. "Your survival instincts are disappointing, human," Zextal continued. "These specimens have torn apart every other subject we've placed in their enclosure. Perhaps you require motivation." A high-pitched tone filled the cell. The dragons reared back, their crystalline bodies vibrating visibly. Sarah recognized the signs of distress, even in an alien species. The Vraxians were hurting them. "Stop," she shouted. "You're damaging their crystalline matrix. That frequency could shatter." "Silence." Zextal cut her off. "You are here to react, not theorize. Your species' pretensions to scientific understanding are amusing but irrelevant." As the tone continued, Sarah noticed something extraordinary. The dragons weren't just vibrating. They were resonating in perfect harmony, creating a counter-frequency. More surprisingly, she could feel it in her bones, in her skull, like a song trying to form words. The larger dragon lowered its head to her level, and this time the resonance was unmistakable. It wasn't random. It was communication. The Vraxians had imprisoned an intelligent species, possibly one far more advanced than themselves, and were treating them like animals. Sarah's mind raced. If she revealed her discovery, the Vraxians would either dismiss it or worse, recognize the dragon's true nature and take more extreme measures. But if she played into their expectations, acted the part of the primitive human they believed her to be, she might buy time to understand these magnificent creatures and find a way to help them. "Please," she called out, letting her voice tremble slightly. "I'll observe them, study them, whatever you want. Just stop hurting them." The tone ceased. Through the barrier, Zextal's multiple eyes narrowed. "Perhaps you will prove useful after all. Your species' irrational empathy might yield interesting data." As the observation chamber's lights dimmed to simulate night, Sarah sat with her back against the cell wall, the dragons arranged protectively on either side of her. She kept her expression neutral, empty, while her mind worked furiously. The dragons were maintaining the resonance at a level just below what the Vraxians' instruments could detect. In that subtle vibration, she began to distinguish patterns, like words formed from pure crystalline song. The smaller dragon, the one she'd started thinking of as azure due to its bluish tint, turned its massive head toward her. The resonance strengthened, and in her mind, she heard distinct words. "You understand our song, Star Child." Sarah kept her face carefully blank, but she focused on the resonance, thinking her response as clearly as she could. "Yes. What are you?" The larger dragon, whose depths shimmered with amber light, responded. "We are the crystalline concordance, ancestors of the stars. These lesser beings found our sleeping ships and thought us beasts. They will learn differently." Sarah thought back, a plan already forming in her mind. "But first, teach me your song." In the observation chamber, Zextal noted with satisfaction that the human appeared to have entered a passive state, likely overwhelmed by fear. How typical of such a primitive species. He had no way of knowing that beneath her calm exterior, Dr. Sarah Chen was learning a language written in starlight and crystal, preparing to remind the galaxy why humanity had survived every challenge it had ever faced. The dragon's crystalline bodies hummed with an almost imperceptible frequency, and in that harmony, a revolution was beginning to take shape. Bonds of the Forgotten. 3 weeks into her captivity, Sarah had mastered the basics of crystalline resonance communication. She maintained her facade of docility, appearing to simply observe the dragons while the Vraxians conducted their tests. In reality, each moment was a lesson in the ancient history of the stars. "Your mind adapts quickly," Azure's resonance whispered in her thoughts as she sat cross-legged, pretending to write observations in the datapad the Vraxians had provided. "Few species can grasp the quantum harmonics of our language." Through the quantum barrier, Zextal watched with growing irritation. The human had proven disappointingly passive, spending hours simply sitting near the beasts, occasionally making notes. He expected more entertainment from their experiment. "Increase environmental stress factors by 15%, he ordered. The temperature in the cell dropped sharply, and the lighting shifted to a harsh ultraviolet spectrum. Sarah suppressed a shiver, continuing her apparent note-taking while maintaining the delicate resonance with the dragons. "Tell me more about your ships." She thought toward Amber, the larger dragon. "How did the Vraxians capture you?" The crystalline being's internal lights pulsed with old pain. "We were scouts, searching for young species with potential. Our ships, living crystal like ourselves, entered dormancy to observe this sector's development. The Vraxians found us in our sleep, thought us mere mineral formations. They tried to harvest our ships for resources." The revelation sparked something in Sarah's scientific mind. "The crystal formations they're so proud of in their architecture, those are pieces of your vessels." "Fragments of our fallen kin," Azure confirmed. "They'd break us, study us, never understanding we are the civilization they desperately wish to become." Sarah felt rage building in her chest, but kept her expression neutral. The Vraxians' entire technological advancement was built on the desecration of an ancient species. Their supposed superiority was nothing but theft and ignorance. "Fascinating response." Zextal's voice broke through her thoughts. "The specimen appears to be developing a protective bond with the creatures. Increase stress factors by another 20%. The temperature plunged further. Sarah's breath began to frost in the air, but she noticed something remarkable. The dragon's crystalline bodies were absorbing and redistributing the thermal energy, creating a microclimate around her. "We protect our own," Amber's resonance hummed. "You have proven yourself worthy of the Concordance's trust." Sarah's scientific training warred with her emotional response to those words. "I'm human," she thought back. "Surely I can't be." "The capacity for resonance lies dormant in many species," Azure explained. "In humans, it manifests as what you call music, mathematics, the ability to see patterns in chaos. Your kind has potential we haven't seen since our own awakening." The implications staggered her. Humanity's artistic and scientific achievements, their very way of perceiving the universe, might be connected to the same fundamental principles that gave the crystalline concordance their power. Subject shows signs of hypothermia, One of Zextal's assistants reported. Should we adjust environmental controls? No, the chief scientist replied. Let's see how her friends react when she begins to lose consciousness. But Sarah wasn't losing consciousness. As her body temperature dropped, she found herself slipping deeper into the crystalline resonance. The dragon's song became clearer, more complex. She began to perceive the underlying mathematical structures of their language. Multidimensional equations expressed through pure vibration. Your mind is opening, Amber observed. The cold breaks down barriers between normal consciousness and deeper awareness. The Vraxians don't realize they're helping you evolve. Sarah's perceptions shifted. She could see the quantum barrier's energy matrix, understand the harmonic frequencies that held it together. More importantly, she could see its flaws, points where the resonance could be manipulated to create instabilities. There are more of you, aren't there? She asked through the resonance. Other ships, other members of the Concordance, scattered throughout this sector, Azure confirmed. Sleeping, waiting. Some captured like us, others still free in their dormancy. With the right song, they could be awakened. Remarkable, Zextal muttered, reviewing his instruments. The human's neural patterns are showing unusual coherence despite the environmental conditions. Prepare a full biological scan. He stopped mid-sentence as a subsonic vibration rippled through the facility. Sarah felt it in her bones. The dragons were teaching her something new, something the Vraxians couldn't detect, but that made her cells sing with recognition. The resonance is within you now, Amber's thought voice explained. A seed of our understanding, planted in fertile ground. Let it grow. Sarah maintained her outward appearance of cold-induced lethargy, but internally her mind was expanding into new dimensions of awareness. The dragons weren't just teaching her to communicate. They were showing her how to understand reality as they did, as a vast symphony of interconnected vibrations. When the time comes, Azure's resonance whispered, you will help us sing the awakening song. But first, you must master the harmonies of creation itself. In the observation chamber, Zextal's instruments recorded endless data about temperature variations, neural responses, and biological adaptations. But they couldn't detect the real transformation taking place, a human mind learning to perceive the music of the spheres, preparing to help an ancient species reclaim its destiny. Sarah Chen, shivering in her cell, smiled inwardly at the irony. The Vraxians had wanted to study humanity's response to captivity with powerful beings. They would learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't survival or adaptation. It was the ability to forge connections that transformed both sides of the equation. The crystal dragons hummed their ancient songs, and in the space between sound and silence, a bridge between species was becoming something new, something that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. Breaking points. Alarms blared through the facility as Zextal burst into the observation chamber. The night cycle readings had detected something impossible. A subspace disturbance emanating from the containment cell. Sarah lay apparently unconscious on the floor, the crystal dragons towering over her motionless form. Full containment protocols. Zextal ordered, his multiple arms flying across control surfaces. Initiate sonic dampening fields. But Sarah wasn't unconscious. Her mind rode waves of crystalline resonance that extended far beyond the facility's walls, reaching into the void between stars. The dragons had taught her well how to appear helpless while extending her consciousness into realms the Vraxians couldn't comprehend. 3 more ships detected, Amber's resonance informed her. They sleep in the asteroid belt of this system, awaiting the awakening song. The Vraxians are getting suspicious, Sarah responded through their quantum link. That last subspace pulse was almost too strong to mask. Azure's crystalline form shifted, refracting light in complex patterns that masked their communication from the facility sensors. The risk was necessary. The Concordance must know we live, that awakening is possible. But you're right. Our window of opportunity shrinks. Through the barrier, Sarah could hear Zextal arguing with his superiors. The human's neural patterns have changed. There's evidence of quantum entanglement we can't explain. We should terminate the experiment. Denied. A cold voice responded. The High Command sees potential military applications. Increase the testing parameters. Break them if you must, but find out how the human is affecting these creatures. Sarah suppressed a shudder, not from fear, but from anticipation. The Vraxians' desperation would be their undoing. Every test, every attempt to understand the connection between her and the dragons, only strengthened their bond. They're bringing in new equipment, she observed through the resonance. Something designed to analyze quantum states. Good. Amber's thought voice held a note of grim satisfaction. Their instruments will become our amplifiers. The very tools they use to study us will help broadcast the awakening song. Sarah had learned that the crystalline concordance's technology operated on principles that seemed like magic to younger races. Their bodies weren't simply crystalline. They were complex quantum computers capable of manipulating the fundamental forces of reality through harmonic resonance. Subject shows increased neural complexity, a Vraxian scientist reported. Permission to begin invasive testing. Granted, Zextal replied. Prepare the extraction chamber. Sarah felt a spike of genuine fear, quickly soothed by the dragon's resonant presence. They're going to separate us, she warned through their link. They will try. Azure's response held centuries of patience. But they don't understand what you've become, little sister. The changes in your mind are permanent now. Distance cannot break our connection. As if to demonstrate, Azure sent a pulse of crystalline song through their bond. Sarah's consciousness expanded, perceiving the quantum structure of reality itself. She could see the facility's power grid as lines of probability and potential, could understand the mathematical poetry that held atoms together. Your species' gift, Amber explained, is adaptation. Where we are fixed in our crystalline perfection, you can change, grow, incorporate new patterns into your very being. You've adapted to our resonance in ways we never imagined possible. The cell door hissed open. Vraxian guards entered with restraint fields activated, expecting resistance. Sarah rose calmly, maintaining her appearance of docile acceptance. The dragons watched with apparent disinterest, their true attention focused on the quantum harmonics building throughout the facility. The new equipment, Sarah thought as they led her away. It's designed to detect quantum entanglement. Yes, Azure confirmed across the growing distance. And to analyze it at the subatomic level. They're giving us exactly what we need, a way to broadcast our song through their own scientific instruments. In the extraction chamber, Sarah was strapped to an examination table. Zextal loomed over her, his multiple eyes gleaming with scientific fervor. Now we'll understand how you've corrupted our specimens, he declared. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. You still think this is about control, she said aloud, her first words in days. That's why you'll never understand what's really happening. Initiate quantum scan, Zextal ordered, ignoring her comment. The machine hummed to life, its sensors probing the quantum state of Sarah's consciousness. In that moment, she let her mind fully open to the crystalline resonance. The dragon's song flowed through her, amplified by the very instruments meant to study it. Throughout the facility, every crystal fragment, every piece of the concordance's fallen ships that the Vraxians had incorporated into their technology, began to sing in harmony. Zextal's instruments exploded with readings. Impossible. The quantum entanglement is spreading. No, Sarah corrected him quietly. It was always there. You just gave us a way to wake it up. In their cell, the crystal dragons began to glow with internal light that pulsed in perfect rhythm with Sarah's heartbeat. The quantum harmonics built toward a crescendo that would reach beyond the facility, beyond the planet, carrying the awakening song to their sleeping kin. The Vraxians had wanted to understand the connection between a human and the crystal dragons. They were about to understand far more than they had bargained for. They were about to witness the awakening of an ancient power catalyzed by humanity's unique gift for transformation. And in the extraction chamber, strapped to a table, but feeling more free than ever, Sarah Chen prepared to help sing a song that would shake the stars themselves. Awakening. The extraction chamber's instruments shrieked as reality itself seemed to vibrate. Sarah felt the crystalline resonance flowing through her, transforming the quantum scanning equipment into a vast amplifier. Through her enhanced perception, she could see the harmonics spreading through the facility's crystal-enhanced architecture like ripples in a cosmic pond. "Shut it down," Zextal screamed, his multiple arms frantically working the controls. "Nullify all quantum fields." But it was far too late. The song had already begun. In their containment cell, Azure and Amber's crystalline forms pulsed with blinding light, their bodies serving as focal points for the growing resonance. Every fragment of their fallen kin, every piece of crystal the Vraxians had arrogantly incorporated into their technology, sang in harmony with the ancient awakening song. "The sleepers hear us." Amber's thought voice echoed through Sarah's consciousness. 3 ships in the asteroid belt, 2 buried beneath this world's polar ice, 7 more scattered through the nearby systems. They wake. Sarah's body hummed with power as she became a living conduit for the Concordance's song. The restraints holding her melted away, their molecular bonds disrupted by the quantum harmonics. She rose from the examination table, her eyes glowing with crystalline light. "What have you done?" Zextal backed away, his scientific certainty crumbling in the face of forces he couldn't comprehend. "What are you becoming?" "I am becoming what humanity was always meant to be," Sarah answered, her voice overlaid with crystalline harmonics. "A bridge between the old songs and the new. You thought you were studying us, but you were actually witnessing evolution." The facility's walls began to crack, not from physical stress, but from quantum resonance reshaping reality at its most fundamental level. Through these cracks, Sarah could perceive the void between stars, could hear the answering song of the awakening ships. "The polar ice ships are moving," Azure's resonance reported, their crystalline matrices fully restored. The sleepers within remember their purpose. Vraxian security forces poured into the extraction chamber, weapons charged. Sarah didn't even need to move. The crystalline resonance simply redirected their energy weapons beams, the photons dancing to a new quantum choreography. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," Sarah told the terrified Vraxians. "The crystalline concordance didn't build their technology. They are their technology. Living quantum computers that sing reality into new shapes. And now humanity will help them write a new song." Through the facility's shattered walls, enormous crystalline forms rose from the planet's polar regions. Ancient ships, alive and aware, their faceted surfaces reflecting starlight in impossible patterns. In the asteroid belt, 3 more vast forms stirred, their crystalline bodies absorbing solar energy as they awakened from millennia of dormancy. "The gathering begins." Amber's thought voice resonated through the quantum field. "For the first time since our great sleep, the concordance comes together. And we bring with us a gift, proof that younger races can rise to join us." Sarah walked calmly through the chaos of the failing facility, Vraxians scrambling to escape as their carefully constructed power structure literally crystallized around them. She made her way back to the containment cell, where Azure and Amber waited. "Your shells have served their purpose," she told them. "It's time to shed these limited forms." The dragon's crystalline bodies began to shift, geometric patterns flowing like liquid light as they assumed their true forms. They grew larger, more complex, their bodies becoming living spacecraft that merged technology and biology in ways human science had barely dreamed possible. "Come, Awakener," Azure's voice echoed through both physical space and quantum fields. "Your place is with us now. Humanity will follow in time, as they learn to hear the songs you will teach them." Sarah stepped into the transformed containment cell, now a crystalline chamber that hummed with possibilities. Above, through the facility's shattered roof, she could see the other awakened ships descending from orbit, their vast forms casting prismatic shadows across the landscape. "This is just the beginning," she realized aloud. The Vraxians thought they were studying the past, but they were actually midwifing the future. Indeed, Amber's consciousness merged partially with hers, sharing visions of what was to come. Humanity's gift for adaptation, combined with our mastery of quantum harmonics, will create something entirely new. The galaxy is about to remember why it once sang with crystalline voices. Through their shared perception, Sarah could see the ripples of change spreading across space and time. The awakening wouldn't stop here. There were more sleeper ships scattered throughout the galaxy, waiting for the song that would stir them to consciousness. And on Earth, humans would soon discover their own latent ability to hear and shape the quantum songs of creation. The Vraxians had wanted to understand the connection between species. Instead, they had catalyzed a transformation that would reshape the very nature of civilization in this arm of the galaxy. Their pride and arrogance had blinded them to the true potential sleeping within both their specimens. As the crystalline ships rose toward the stars, carrying Sarah and the awakened Concordance members with them, she spared one last thought for Zextal and his fellow scientists. They had achieved their goal, in a way. They had proven that humans were unlike any other species in the galaxy. They just hadn't understood that this was because humanity's greatest strength wasn't physical power or technological advancement. It was the ability to forge connections that transformed both sides of the equation, to adapt and grow in ways that even ancient species like the crystalline concordance had never imagined possible. The stars beckoned, and a new song was about to begin. Legacy of Stars. 1 month after the awakening, Sarah stood on the crystalline bridge of what had once been Azur's dragon form, now a vast, living ship self that sailed through the quantum seas between stars. Through their shared consciousness, she could perceive the growing network of awakened concordance vessels, each one adding its unique harmony to the grand symphony of their combined song. The Vraxian High Command has issued a sector-wide alert. Amber's resonance informed them. The former dragon now a companion ship flowing through space alongside them. They claim we've stolen their most valuable research subject. Sarah smiled, her form now seamlessly shifting between human and crystalline states as needed. They still don't understand. They'd never owned me, just as they never owned you. They merely provided the circumstances for something inevitable. Through the living crystal walls of the ship, she watched a distant star cluster where 3 more sleeper ships had just awakened. Their song rippled through subspace, carrying echoes of ancient knowledge and new possibilities. Earth has detected our harmonics, Azure reported, their consciousness intertwined with the ship's systems. Their quantum physicists are excited. The patterns we're generating have confirmed several of their theoretical models, and broken others completely, Sarah added with a touch of pride. Humanity is already adapting, aren't they? Starting to hear the songs on their own. The answer came in the form of a quantum pulse from Earth's direction, crude by concordance standards, but unmistakably an attempt to replicate the crystalline resonance. Humanity's first faltering steps towards singing with the stars. Faster than we anticipated, Amber acknowledged. Your species' gift for pattern recognition, combined with your drive to understand and connect. We couldn't have designed a better catalyst for our renaissance if we had tried for another 1,000,000 years. The ship's sensors detected a Vraxian battle fleet attempting to form a blockade around their sector of space. Sarah reached out with her enhanced consciousness, examining their ship's crystalline components with a mixture of sadness and irony. They built their empire on fragments of your sleeping kin, she observed. Now those same fragments will remind them of their mistake. Through the quantum link, she initiated a harmonic cascade. Throughout the Vraxian fleet, every crystal component began to resonate with the Concordance's song. Drive systems realigned themselves, weapon crystals reformed into communication arrays, and ships that were built for war transformed into bridges between species. You show mercy, Azure noted. After their treatment of you, of us, you could have let those fragments tear their ships apart. Sarah's form sparkled with crystalline light as she responded. Humanity's greatest strength isn't in destruction. It's in finding ways to turn endings into beginnings. The Vraxians wanted to study the connection between species, let them experience it firsthand. Across the sector, more sleeper ships were awakening each day. But something unprecedented was happening as well. The quantum harmonics were stirring something in younger races, activating dormant potentials, teaching them to hear the music of reality itself. The galaxy is changing. Amber's thought voice carried notes of wonder. Not just awakening, but transforming. Your gift for adaptation is proving contagious, little sister. Through their shared perception, Sarah could see the ripples spreading. On countless worlds, including Earth, sensitive individuals were beginning to dream in crystalline frequencies. Artists created works that unconsciously mimicked concordance harmonics. Scientists found their quantum theories shifting to accommodate new patterns of possibility. This was always your purpose, wasn't it? Sarah asked the ships that had once posed as dragons. Not just to observe younger species, but to wait for one that could help you evolve beyond your own crystalline perfection. We were becoming static, Azure admitted. Perfect but unchanging. We needed a catalyst, a species that could teach us how to grow again. In you, we found not just an awakener, but a transformer. Sarah felt the truth of it in the quantum harmonics that now flowed through her transformed biology. Humanity's gift to the concordance wasn't just awakening them, it was teaching them how to change, adapt, and grow beyond their ancient patterns. The Vraxians are hailing us, Amber announced. Their high command wishes to negotiate. Of course they do, Sarah laughed. Their empire is literally transforming under their feet as every crystal they've ever harvested begins to sing. Tell them we'll meet them, not as specimens or scientists, but as equals in the great song. The living ships adjusted their course, their crystalline forms casting prismatic light across the void. Behind them, Earth was taking its first steps into a larger universe, its people beginning to hear the songs that had always been there, waiting to be discovered. Ahead, the awakened concordance vessels gathered like a scatter of new stars, their combined harmonics weaving reality into new patterns. What happens now? Azure asked, though they could all see the possibilities unfolding through their shared quantum perception. Now, Sarah said, her form shimmering between human and crystal, we teach the galaxy how to sing. Not just the concordance's song or humanity's, but something new. A harmony that will let every species find their own voice in the great chorus. The stars seemed to pulse in rhythm with her words, as if the universe itself was learning to sing in new ways. The Vraxians had wanted to understand the connection between species. Instead, they had helped birth a transformation that would reshape the very nature of civilization itself. And at the heart of it all was humanity's greatest gift, not the ability to survive or fight or dominate, but the power to forge connections that changed everyone involved, to take separate songs and weave them into something greater than their parts. The crystal ships sailed on through the quantum sea, their hulls alive with possibility, carrying the seeds of a future where the boundaries between species, between organic and artificial, between music and mathematics, would dissolve into a single, endless song. The awakening wasn't ending. It was just beginning.